Hello. So this video is going to be a bit different. This is me in my rarest form in the bed. It's probably too early to be in the bed, but I'm just in the bed. And so I just wanted to come on here because I had some things on my mind. I just always been talking about I'm going to do a video about it. So what I came on here to talk about is what they don't tell you about being married. Right? So most people have the idea, the fairy tale idea, you get married, everything's gonna be great, you live happily ever after, nothing bad truly happens when you're married, because that's the way it's supposed to go and everything's supposed to be great. I guess that could be true if you live in La La Land, or you're one of those people who just go along with everything the person says. But in the reality that I live in, yeah, that's not how it works. So I've been married going on 10 years in March to my husband. We dated for we were together for 7 years before we got married. That's another video. So where do I start with that? Okay, so growing up, I'll give you a little background on my experience. Growing up, I grew up with my mother and my two sisters. So she was a single mom, but I do remember her and my father getting married at our house at the time. After that, my memory is very vague for as my father being in our household all the time or whatever. So they were still legally married on paper, but they were separated, or however that goes, whatever. So for the most part, I grew with my mom. I saw my mom work, take care of us, do everything that she was supposed to do, and be that strong black woman that everybody talks about, that doesn't want to need any help. But she probably did. It's just, this was my idea. She was like superhero because it was just us girls and her. Okay. There wasn't many families of my aunts and uncles or my cousins that I could say was married and had a 2-parent household, and the ones that did, we're gonna just say they wasn't the model family to just go, say, okay, this is what I'm gonna grow up and have. So I say that to say that I was growing up thinking, my mom said, don't ask nobody to do nothing for you. If you can't do it yourself, if you don't feel like you have a way to get it on your own, come and ask me and I'll make a way. Now, being a parent now, I didn't understand what that meant then. Now I get it, because I say the same thing. Well, that built my foundation to be what most people say hard, or I'm guarded when it comes to me in a relationship. Granted, my grandmother was 88, I want to say, or she was 89 when she passed, but she was the family matriarch. My experience was that old lady was something else. Once again, mostly I saw women holding it down, building homes, taking care of children, having something for themselves because they worked for it, not because somebody gave it to them. That's my perception of it, or what I saw being a kid. Now, my father, on the other hand, I could say that he would call us, he would check on us. I used to be scared. When I got in trouble, this is what my mama did. When I would get in trouble, she knew we feared, my dad had a deep voice, so she knew that we feared our father to the extent of everybody said he was mean, he was tough, right? Well, he was that, but I think by the age of 13, I do remember this. I got in trouble, and we called. She's like, I'm gonna call your daddy. I was like, okay, okay. This is her husband. He was in and out, back and forth. My father was a womanizer. That's what that was. Okay. And my mom and him, later on, like best friends all the time. They did their thing, whatever that meant or whatever. They got along. This was my experience. Hold on. Let me turn this light on. Sorry about all the moving. See if I can unplug. Because I'm really, like, comfortable. Try to give y'all some light. Jesus. Build a fence all around me every day. I don't know where that come from. Anyway, that's a little bit better. So, okay. So, what was I saying? Okay. So, I knew calling my father would be, okay, he's protector and disciplinary to an extent. Because being a little girl, you don't play with your daddy or whatever. You might try your mom a little bit more, but not my mama, really. So when I called him at 13, I got in trouble. Something in me was like, he ain't coming. So I could listen to him fuss on the phone because I'm not going to get in trouble. Right? So that was my extent of my mom and my dad relationship for as when it came to me as a young girl, for as me seeing them. I didn't see them like, we didn't sit at the table and all that growing up. Okay, fast forward. So my experiences with guys or just family was, you gonna go over your Madea house, your grandma's house. We all get around, family, cousins, everybody. We hang out, we laugh. But for the most part, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she grew up in those days where she felt like men were. I would say she had her picks and chooses. Like, we were supposed to do the work. We were supposed to do this, and that. But she catered to her sons and her grandsons. Whereas me, on the other hand, being very outspoken, or as they would say, rebellious, I was considered the problem. That's okay. I was okay with that because I spoke my mind. Okay? So after dating my husband, going through whatever I went through, I had my son. So he didn't have any kids. I remember my grandmother saying to me, Sheena, you find, don't be so mean. Don't be so mean to that boy. I didn't understand it. Don't be so mean to the boy where you run him away. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. He go, whatever. Because that, for me, my experiences were, guys will let you down. You have to be able to take care of yourself. So I was like, tough, always tough, ready to, I ain't kissing your butt, I ain't crying behind you, my feelings could be hurt, but it was like, boom, right there, because I saw strong women, no matter what happened, they did it, right? Okay. But she also said to me one day, she was like, look, when you find somebody, find your man that love you more than you love them, and they'll do whatever they need to do for you. I didn't get that. I was like, find more than I love him. That's not fair, but whatever. Okay. So we got married. We ain't even gonna talk about it. We'll talk about how we got married, how we decided to get married later. So the idea people have is you get me. Oh, and plus I had 3 kids by the time I got married. So me and my husband, when we met, I had my oldest son. And then we got together, a couple of years went by, like we had 2 kids, like back like 18 months apart. So at this point, people are saying, well, y'all need to get married because you got those kids. Well, I saw my mama and she took care of us without, in my mind, without help like that. So why do I have to get married? Mind you, we were young. I got married at 26. So, I'm thinking, If he want to marry me, he's going to marry me, but you don't know what's going on in our relationship, so it may be a reason why we're not getting married. But we both wanted to, we had the idea of we don't want to do like everybody else and say that we're getting married just to get married or to please other people. But at the same time, I didn't want to go through the whole cycle of having no live-in boyfriend for years for nothing, right? So we get married. It's the same crap, same drama, same whatever that we had before we got married. Those 7 years, we just was married. We had a piece of paperwork, but we didn't have the spiritual connection that goes along with saying that you're going to marry someone. So with that brought more confusion, more, like sometimes we resented the fact because we was like, what are we doing this for? Was this like just to please other people? My husband's grandfather was a minister, was a pastor, and he used to tell my time, when you gonna marry that girl? When you gonna marry that girl? Well, I wasn't no saint. He wasn't no saint. We just had kids, and we did the girlfriend boyfriend thing pretty well, and everybody thought that was it. So for me, when other people be like, tell people, well, y'all need to get married, y'all been together all this time, I can say, based from my experiences, don't believe the fairy tale. Now, is it gonna be hard? Yes. Is it gonna get better? Sometime. When you say you're marrying somebody now at 36, if I was to say I was getting married, you have to, like, first of all, respect the person that you're getting married to. Most people like, you have to be in love. True. It sounds good. But you're not always going to be in love even after you marry, because somewhere along the line, people are going to grow at different rates, different paces. You're not going to have the same things in common as you did when you were younger. So you have to learn each other every day, over and over, every year, like, boom. I remember saying to my husband at times, he used to do stuff that I used to like when I was younger, right? 26, 27, kick it, laugh, have fun, whatever. He'll do it, and it annoys me. And I'm saying, like, bruh, can you stop? That's you aggravating. He's like, what's your problem? You act like it wasn't an issue before. And I was like, I'm not the same girl. So you have to learn your partner daily. Like, what I liked back then was cool for the mindset that I had back then. But as I grow and I develop more, or I ended up going on a more spiritual journey, growing up and realizing, even trying to find myself and trying to be in a healthy relationship, and knowing that he also come from his own background, his own experience that he saw. He saw his grandparents be married for years, not his mother or his father. So that was different. He knew what he was supposed to do, but they just told him what to do, not how to get there, how to get past. We had to learn that on our own. Everybody can give you advice, but some people are giving you advice based on what they think. They never even experienced a marriage, a healthy relationship. Some people tell you to settle or just go ahead, just get married because you got kids. What? That's the worst thing in the world you could do, because if you're not happy, first of all, you have to be happy with yourself. You have to know yourself before you could get into a relationship, a marriage with someone else. And even though you're growing daily, you have to understand that it has to be like a foundation where this is my non-negotiable. Because it's certain things people will say, oh, I wouldn't deal with that. This is not going to be peaches and creams every day. You're not trying to smell no roses. Some days you want to, like, chin check a dude, like, bruh, he might want to pull your wig off and be like, girl, stop playing with me. But I found that, even though, let me go back, because I will be everywhere. Let me go back and tell you something. So at one point we went to counseling with our pastor, because I was really trying to go to church. Something we should have done in the beginning to build a relationship. You know how people say you have to be equally yoked. In the Bible, you should be equally yoked. Well, in today's society, most people ain't even reading the Bible. They just getting married. They don't know a lot of people are just going off how they feel. Oh, I think we'll be together. We're going to be great. And not realize that everybody was bringing their own baggage or their own experiences to a relationship. So with that being said, you have to unpack some things before you could be equally yoked. Well, I was going to church all the time for myself, feeding it, but I would ask him constantly go, because I was always told, the husband is the head, and your wife is by your side, you are a helpmate, right? So I'm going, you can pray for your husband, your spouse, your family, for the covering. Well, I used to be like, why am I following him? Or the word submit. I was like, he can't, if he not going, or if I don't know what he's doing for as his spiritual relationship, then I ain't doing that. Like, he can't lead me to hell. This was like me putting it all on him. Whereas we went to counseling, they was just like, back up. Let God deal with him at his time, and you deal with you, and you just pray for him. Now, being younger, I was like, so I'm supposed to do all the praying, all the work, and to wait on God to do it, and for him to be lifted as the man over our household when it does happen, as if, everything's been great, but I've been doing the footwork of prayer. But that's what it is. You pray for your spouse. He's supposed to pray for you. He's supposed to cover you. But we don't know that all the time. We just go in with the idea that, we gonna get married, because they show us on TV that these fairy tales are real, and that is not true. It can be a fairy tale. A tale. What is a tale? A lie. Fairy. Magical. Have you ever seen a fairy? No. So with that being said, again, it is not just going to magically happen. You have to work daily. You have to pray daily. It's just a misconception. It's more to it. I know this is like, I'm kind of everywhere, and maybe I'll do better in pulling it back together. But I just wanted to come on and say, if people are thinking about getting married, like when they used to say you have to court a female, or that doesn't mean you have to have sexual relationships with people to get to know them. It's certain questions that probably do need to be answered in the beginning. Whereas when I was younger, I wasn't asking those questions. If I liked you, I liked you. We kicked it, we hung out, that was cool. If you stayed around long enough, you didn't give up because I was stubborn or whatever, then we might can make it. Well, my husband, at the end of the day, he stuck it out. He was like, I don't care about that. I love you, which is great. But I was like, why you love me? What's wrong? Something wrong with you? Because I didn't see a man be vulnerable all the time or say those things. It's like it was just an understood conversation because we've been around each other. So you have to know, you can't be blinded by what look good on the outside. You have to really find the person that matches you. You may not in the beginning be equally yoked, but if y'all have the end goal is to be together, to build a relationship, to build a better foundation for your family, it's possible to work. 10 years? Baby, we're going on 10 years, and I can tell you, twice a week we fussing. I mean, that's my reality. We're arguing just because we both just have our own minds, so we have to figure out how to communicate and get this thing better. Because when you show kids that you're just together for them, you're really showing them how to lie. Whereas, although my mama was strong, I realize now, mind you, my parents got back together when I was 30. They had been married 27 years on paper, separated. Before my father passed, they got back together after 27 years. And it was awesome. I loved it. Sometimes they got on my nerves because they had to relearn each other as well, even though they were best friends, separated, and whatever kind of country way that junk worked. but they got along, and I was able to see my parents be together and laugh and joke and have that family time, something that probably as a little girl I never did experience, but I always wanted to give to my kids, right? So they had the best grandparents ever. And then my father passed. So, but I thank God that I got to see that, which also let me know that, you know, every day you have grace and mercy, and people can change, things can change, and it may be a reason for all that. I just wanted to come on and say that if anybody telling you that marriage is like, oh, the best thing going, it possibly could be if you want to work on it. If you think it's easy and people want to give up, people get divorced. I'm not saying that some people shouldn't get divorced, because I also seen my sister fight in her first marriage, like take abuse, and I knew that was not what I was going to take, physical abuse. But I did not know what my non-negotiables were when I got married, the things that made me want to say I give up. But because I did have a spiritual relationship, I learned that some things come from deeper places. So if it's worth it, you try to find out the mindset of your spouse, and if they're willing to, they value you like my grandma said, they love you like they supposed to, they'll work to do what they need to do for it to work. So keep that in mind. I hope it helps somebody. I hope I wasn't like too random, because this is literally a random video. But I had it on my heart, and I just wanted to speak on it because I've been saying it. And I'll probably come back and maybe clarify some things to whoever wants to, talk about it. Leave a comment down in the comment section. Like, subscribe, check out other videos, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.